Let's talk Wamunyoro. Wamunyoro has brought up a very vital conversation. In fact, this should be a national conversation.
I never thought I would see a day when the entire country would actually rally behind Rigathi Gachagua.
I side with Gachagua, 100%.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Nikajiambia Gachagua anasema tu ukweli.
I'm supporting Wamunyoro 101%.
The last time this happened was during his impeachment. And even then, the sympathy didn't last long. Within weeks, he was back to being labeled tribal, divisive, dangerous.
He must also dissociate himself in his campaigns from the mountain connotation.
But between yesterday and today, something has changed. And it's not that he has become softer in the way that he communicates. No, it's because he asked something that many Kenyans have been avoiding to talk about.
Anjua ni nyinyi mmefanya niongelele hii story, sikuwa niguze hata kidogo.
Mimi hata sikuwa niongelele history ya Gachagua and schools.
This matter that he has raised concern about seems to be something that has really been bothering people because it has triggered such massive support for the deputy president that was impeached than any slogan that he would have crafted. And whispers deep within State House tell me that a certain someone is not really happy about this.
How desperate can people be? Let our children be.
A school in Kamaget with red carpet for the Singapore developer, Shameless.
Let us break it down. If you love this kind of content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now let's get to the video.
For quite some time, I've been wondering huyu mtu alienda wapi. For quite some time, I have been wondering huyu mtu alienda wapi. But during the weekend, this person made a comeback.
Sasa nikisema Kasoko anasema Singapore, munacheka. Kasoko anasema tuende Singapore.
When he came back with one question. A question about school placements.
There is total confusion kwa mambo ya shule.
Something that was very simple. But instead of that question dying, that question has grown some legs.
Haya, wacha tuongee hii maneno ya shule itutoke sababu sasa inaonekana maneno yameanza kurushwa.
So, here's the question that shook the entire country.
Ancestors wetu wakatoa ardhi. Watu wetu wakajenga mashule ya national school. Hiyo mashule ni ya Wakenya wote. Lakini kumekuwa na ubaguzi ya watoto wetu. Unapata mtoto amechagua kwenda Alliance High School ambaye kwao ni hapo Thogoto. Amepata max 70. Ananyimwa nafasi ya kwenda kwa hiyo shule. Mtoto wa area ingine ako na max 40 anapata admission kwa hiyo shule.
Let me repeat that in a way that you're going to understand. If all regions receive development funds, and if some even receive more through the equalization funds, then why are children being exported to Central Kenya schools instead of demanding better schools back at home? That was Gachagua's question.
Mimi vile nilisikia Gachagua, vile Gachagua alisema kila mtu ajenge kwao na asome kwao, nilikasirika kwanza.
At first, the attacks came fast. Here he goes again. He's tribal. He wants to divide the country.
Mpaka wanafikia watoto wetu shuleni. Unataka kwenda kugawanya watoto shuleni. How desperate can people be?
But then, Kenyans did something rare. They stopped, they thought, and then they realized this question wasn't really about education. It was about leadership and accountability.
Tunaongelelea kuhusu watu walipewa pesa za kujenga mashule na kuendeleza their constituencies, lakini wakaamua kwenda kununua manyumba zao wenyewe na mabibi zao. Hizi pesa zote walipeleka wapi? Walijenga shule.
I'm very happy we are having this conversation as Kenyans because Wakenya watajifunza kusoma Auditor General's report. Ndio mjue wabunge wenyu wanatumia NGCDF funds zao kufanya nini.
Hii Singapore haijengwi shule. Si mjengewe hizo shule. Nyinyi watu wa Singapore, jengeni shule zenyu na huko. Sisi jengeni shule zenyu na huko na tuzitaki. Taki kusomea huko.
Whatever Rigathi Gachagua is insinuating is this way. Today, let's say you are a pupil. Your MP has done exemplary job. At this juncture, let's use Kiharu constituency where Ndindi Nyoro comes from. Look at the schools and the environment. You have got the facilities, darasa zinakaa smart. But tomorrow, because of the educational system, you are being transferred from where you are actually learning to a different constituency, to a different school where the MP has not done anything to the schools.
Once you scratch the surface, a bigger question appears. What are your MPs, MCAs, and governors doing with the money allocated to your region?
Kila mtu asomee kwao. Very nice. Kila mtu asomee kwao. Kwa nini? Mahali hakuna kisima, mnanunua tank mbili ya 10,000 liters 1,300. Na muna install piping and all that milioni 1.5 na 1,200 juu. Kila mtu asomee kwao.
Hamuwezi mkaiba pesa ya CDF. Mnaenda kununua manyumba mnajenga. MPs wengine wanajenga mashule zao kama Alliance na Mangu and others. Then ikifika wakati wa kutaka kupeleka watoto wenu shule, mnawapeleka Mount Kenya kwa sababu mashule zimejengwa vizuri na mashule zenu ni bogus.
Why don't you have national schools? Why don't you have hospitals? Why don't you have roads? And suddenly, a long-standing myth began to collapse.
And then some Kenyans, because of the narrative and sense of disinformation, mnaambiwa, you know, they've been in government, they've had 3 presidents. For your own information, Mkenya mwenzangu, CDF ilianza 2003 under the CDF Act. The allocation of money is across, and it is the same in all the constituencies.
For decades, Kikuyus have been told, you are developed because you've had 3 presidents. Okay, let us test that logic. Baringo was at the heart of Moi's presidency for 24 years. Today, Baringo is still one of the poorest regions in Kenya.
Ukienda Marigat, ukienda Baringo, iko to the same. If indeed a president helps, then Moi angesaidia watu wake. Baringo saya hakuna tofauti. Ukienda Baringo utajionea reality. Marigat inakaa tu venye iko tu.
So, if having a president automatically equals development, why didn't Baringo become Nairobi? That's when the conversation got very, very uncomfortable.
Maono yangu ni si kila county na kila ward na kila mahali wanapongwa pesa ya kutengeleza mashule, si ndio? Sasa huyo mtu mwenye anafaa wajengee shule si alienda akanunua helicopter sijui na manyumba wapi. Utajipata mnasomea kwa helicopter hewani.
Hold your MPs accountable. What Wamunyoro is just trying to tell Kenyans, to open Kenyans' eyes and tell Kenyans, are you holding your MP accountable? Pesa za CDF zinaenda wapi?
This is the truth. Central Kenya doesn't develop because of presidents. It develops because of voters. Leaders there are held accountable. If you don't perform, you are gone. Ask Kabogo. 1 term. Finished. In Mount Kenya, leaders don't joyride. They work. Or they are voted out.
One thing I have to give it to the Kikuyu people. They know how to elect their members of parliament. Look at these numbers here. The best performing MPs. Ndidi Nyoro, obvious. Silvana Sosoro, there is Wamushomba, there is Ishungwa, there is Mwirigi, there is Karauri, there is Benjamin Gadhiru, John Kiarie, Francis Kuria Kimani. In the top 20 of this list, they have the best performing members of parliament.
Now let us talk facts. Northeastern counties receive more money, not less, thanks to the Equalization Fund. If Murang'a gets 100 million, Wajir might get 150. So where are the developments? Why are schools still missing? Why are hospitals still lacking? The problem is not the money. The problem is leaders who are never questioned.
Meanwhile, Farah Maalim, the leaders of Northern Kenya, I don't know shida yenu ni nini. Ma press conference too. The energy that you have in calling for press conference every time Gachagua says something against the Kusheti community. Where's the same energy when it comes to service delivery? Akina Farah Maalim, our leaders wa Northern Kenya, nothing. Kazi, yani nyindo munafuatwa presidential convoy kila mahali. Nyindo the mouthpiece of the president. Sometimes do politics, but also do service delivery.
Here is where the school placement issue explodes. Every time a child from, let's say Wajir, is placed in Kiambu or Nyeri, parents lose the moral authority to ask, why don't we have a good school here?
Mind you, Mount Kenya ndio unapatanga, the governors wa Mount Kenya ndio wanapatanga the least money. Turkana receives the highest, pamoja na Nairobi, pamoja na Garissa, pamoja na Isiolo, all of those marginalized places. when Kibaki left, aliacha make sure wao wanapata more money.
Then comes the Mang'u issue.
So my son did the exam last year. Akapata exceeding expectation 1 4 na exceeding expectation 2 4. His cousin, my nephew, akapata exceeding expectation 1 6 na exceeding expectation 2 akapata 2. But you'd expect when someone gets such good marks that the placement of the schools would be, first of all, the first school they selected if they qualify. For example, my son alikuwa select Baricho High School as a first choice, which he qualified, but he did not get there. Well, kijana mwingine has selected Mang'u as the first choice, and he qualified. Hiyo sio maneno ya kusukumwa, lakini zile shule wameitwa mimi hata sijawahi sikia hizo shule. To tell you the truth, sijawahi sikia.
This is a very uncomfortable question, but we must ask it. Has Mang'u been acquired by the Somali community?
Is discriminating us. Because how do I explain to my daughter who wanted to join Alliance Girls High School and got the mark and actually went to Alliance Girls High School for benchmarking? Because that's what we do. We take our children to our local good schools to go and see Mary here, to go and see Loreto. And then she gets the mark, but she doesn't get the school. And then she's admitted in a school in Wajir. For national school.
And that's why people are insisting that you should school in your local area. Because failure to that, you'd never have a good reason to demand a good school in your local area. Because either way, you will go to Mang'u or Alliance. And the cycle will continue.
The new constitution through devolution was meant to ensure that whatever the life you'll have in Nairobi, you can have it in Kakamega. That's why we devolved resources. That you do not need to come to this side anymore. Whatever you are enjoying in Nairobi, if a boda in Nairobi is enjoying tarmac roads, a boda in Busia should enjoy tarmac roads.
So this is why Kenyans are actually backing Gachagua. It's not because he's perfect, but because he has forced conversations that nobody wanted to have. Uncomfortable conversations are necessary. They expose weak leadership, they force accountability, and whether intentional or not, Rigathi Gachagua has pushed Kenya to ask the right question. Are we poor because we lack money, or because we keep electing bad leaders? Subscribe.